Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everybody's having a blessed evening. Had a good day today. Had a long day. I had a 5 hour long training at work today, and it was brutal. We'll just leave it at that. A lot of repetitive knowledge that was reiterated that I had learned when I became a peer recovery supporter, and going over a lot of ethics and boundaries and things of that nature, do's and don'ts of a peer support specialist or a peer recovery supporter. It was all on Zoom. There was some participation in it, but it was just it was long, man. 5 hours sitting in front of the computer with about 10 minutes worth of breaks. It's a lot. It's a lot, but we got through it. We participated and got through it, and we had a good day. I hope everybody else is having a good evening. I'm gonna go over a couple readings tonight. Friday. Hopefully, everybody had a good week. Hope everybody has the weekend off, and everybody can relax and prop their feet up and get some self care in. Can't forget about self care and how important self care is. That was one of our topics actually in our classes today, was taking care of ourselves before others, keeping ourselves number one and our recovery number one when certain situations come up, just remembering to keep yourself number one. But the first reading I'm going to bring up is from the NA side and their JFT. I shared on this earlier in a meeting with my sponsor, and it's a great reading. They're usually always really good readings, and I always relate to them in one way, shape, or form, simply because I'm an addict, and that's the program I work. And the second reading I'm going to bring up is from the Hazleton side, which is the Betty Ford Clinic, and they're more AA orientated, but addiction and recovery. It's just if drugs aren't your thing, replace it with your DOC, and the same thing with alcohol, whatever it may be. Addiction's addiction, folks. Let me bring up the first one. You guys will definitely relate to this. I know I do. Let's see. JFT for today, an everyday addict. You should have seen that in the little reminder thingy on Facebook when I went live. We can never fully recover no matter how long we stay clean. After getting a little time in the program, some of us begin to think that we've been cured. Boy, I have felt that way. We've learned everything, and we have learned everything that NA or whatever program you work has had to teach us. We've grown bored with the meetings, and our sponsor keeps droning the same old refrain: the steps, the steps, the steps. We decided it was time to get on with our lives, cut way back on meetings, and try to make up for the years that we had lost in active addiction. We do this, however, the peril of our recovery. I'm probably fouling that up, but those of us who have relapsed after such an episode often try to go to as many meetings as we can. Some of us go to a meeting every day for several years. It may take that long for us to understand that we will always be addicts. We may feel that some days and sick on other days, but we're addicts every day, no matter what. At any time, we are subject to the delusion of denial, rationalization, justification, insanity, all the hallmarks of a typical addict's way of thinking. That's stinking thinking I talk about all the time. If we want to continue living and enjoying life without the use of drugs, we must be practicing an active program of recovery every day, each day. That's why you hear me say, remain vigilant in your recovery daily, surrender daily. Just for today, I'm an addict every day, but today I have the choice to be a recovering addict. I will make that choice by practicing my program. I will read kind of what I wrote down when I shared on this topic earlier in a meeting online. Um, I write things down, guys. It's what works for me. My memory's shot. And I have to write these things down. And as I'm chatting, I'm getting rid of a spammer in my chat that seems to like to come in here every once in a while and put some kind of foreign garbage up. But anyway, it talks about never fully recovering, no matter the clean time, no matter if you have 1 month or you have 30 years clean, remaining teachable, remaining open-minded and willing, remaining teachable, period, flat out. Like, we never got this. I know when I get into that stinking thinking and I've got this attitude, I'm in trouble. I can remember, just like the reading said, going through a treatment center, going through a treatment program, a 30-day or even a 90-day, going in more into a long-term program and coming out and thinking, oh, thank you, Jesus, I'm healed and I got this. And, I was always in a big hurry. I was always in a big hurry to get my job back. I was worried about money. I was worried about this. I was worried about that. It was all materialistic stuff. It took me a long time to realize that, not only was that situation repeating itself because I was continuing to relapse, I was continuing to stay stuck in my stinking thinking. I wasn't keeping myself first. I wasn't keeping my recovery first. I was running on self-will. These are character defects, control. I struggle with all these things. I never really took time out to really sit down and evaluate me internally, what's going on with me and my thought process and why I continued to keep doing the things that I was doing. That saying, nothing changes if nothing changes. And, I really had to sit down and ask myself, what do I have to change this time? What haven't I tried? What haven't I done? In order to begin recovering, and not going back into that chaos and then insanity that I continue to go back into, time and time again. We talked about complacency today in the meeting, and, again, that I got that, and you can't teach me shit, and getting bored, that dry drunk syndrome, this running on self-will and the I know best. That's why I say it's so important, no matter the amount of time, the recovery, the amount of clean time or the amount of years you have in recovery, clean or sober, you still have to remain teachable. My sponsor has told me many times, and I've heard other people that have been in long-term recovery say that, they take as much from the newcomer, if not more from the newcomer than they do somebody that has 20, 30, 40, 50 years clean. Cause it's that reminder, that humility, being able to humble yourself and remember, where you came from. That's why you hear so many people share about, don't ever forget where you came from and how far you've came and how well you're doing. Let me see. What else did I write down here? Yeah, I wrote down, I couldn't read it. I couldn't read my own writing. So I had wrote down that I have been going against all things good. I have been going against all things good that were in my life. Like, things would be going great for me. But it was easier for me to rebel. It was easier for me to say, screw it. Than to actually do the right thing and get into the solution. And I would just give up and throw my hands up. And it took me almost 43 years, guys, to realize that, I have to surrender daily. that I don't got this, that this is not a one and done, like, oh, I'm healed and then I don't have to worry about it. It's something that I have to work on daily, day in and day out. I have to surrender daily. I have to turn my will and my life over to something greater than myself every single day. And I have to participate and remain vigilant in my recovery every single day in and day out. It says in that reading, which I thought was really cool, it says we were subject to the delusion, the denial, the rationalization, the justification, the insanity. That's stinking thinking. Today I am making the choice to be a recovering addict. You know, it says in our literature, or in Narcotics Anonymous's literature, it's the message of hope and the promise of freedom. I am blessed today and extremely grateful that I get to experience that today. Today I get to enjoy life without the use of drugs. And I am remaining vigilant. Am I perfect at it? Of course not. Will I ever be perfect at it? Of course not. That's why sponsorship is so important. That's why the therapeutic value and the beauty of the one person reaching out and sharing that experience, strength, and hope is so important. It's a really, really good reading. The Hazleton one I'm going to bring up is a really good one too. I wasn't even going to share on it until I was reading it right before I came on here. And their thought of the day, daily meditations, their language of letting go. I was talking about staying in the present moment. Go figure. Often our biggest questions is what's going to happen. We may ask about our relationships, our career, our recovery, and our life. It's easy to get tangled up in this worrisome thoughts. I call them the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Worrying about what's going to happen blocks us from functioning effectively today. It keeps us from doing our best now. It blocks us from learning and mastering today's lessons. I talk about those opportunities, those lessons that are presented daily. Being worrisome and not letting go, it talks about it blocking us from learning and receiving those blessings of recovery if we allow them to. Staying in the now, doing our best, and participating fully daily are all we need to do to assure ourselves what's going to happen tomorrow will be for the best. That's letting go and turning it over to something greater than ourselves. Worrying about what's going to happen is a negative contribution to our future. How many times have you guys heard me share about changing your thought process from a negative one to a positive one? I mean, obviously, nothing ever comes good out of thinking negatively. That's why I believe the CBT, or the cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps you retrain your thought process in your brain, is so important. It's a long progress, or it's a long transformation. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. But the more I practice it, the better and easier things get. I've learned, and it's amazing. Living in the here and now, which is so important. Not worrying about what happened yesterday, not worrying about what's going to happen 20 minutes from now. Control, character defect again, is ultimately the best thing we can do. Not only for today, but also for tomorrow. Honestly, trying to practice that daily and applying it to our lives daily, I feel, is really important. It helps our relationships, our career, our recovery, and our life. Things will work out if we let them. We must focus on the future other than to plan. All we need to do is affirm that it will be good. It's that letting go and letting God process, or whatever your higher power may be. I pray for faith that my future will be good if I live today well. Make the best. Take full advantage of those opportunities and chase your recovery like you used to chase your drug of choice. And in peace, I will remember that staying in the present is the best thing I can do for my future. What's going to happen, guys, is going to happen, and it's going to work out if we just have faith and trust in the process. It's taken me a long time to realize that it may not always work out the way I thought it was going to work out, or how I want it to work out, but it usually always works out okay. I will focus on what's happening now instead of what's going to happen tomorrow. Um, a friend of ours that helps us moderate the page had asked a question about triggers and what some of the triggers are. Hey, look, my bomber's back. Um, Trick no good. Um, one of my triggers is one of my big triggers is control, obviously, but not getting overwhelmed and not being able to slow myself down is very triggering for me. Um, sometimes worrying about the woulda, coulda, shouldas could be triggering for me because I'm a perfectionist and I know what's best for Joe all the time, and that's never the case. That's why it's so important to reach out and share and use that therapeutic value, that lived experience, strength, and hope of other people, and get that feedback and get that lived experience. I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say it. That lived experience of another person in recovery, in my personal opinion, is the most powerful tool in anyone's recovery toolbox. That relatable experience, strength, and hope. It's an amazing, powerful tool. Please reach out if you're struggling. Please reach out and share where you're at. If you're having a good day, reach out. If you're having a shitty day, reach out. It's just so important. Don't sit in your shit like I had chose to do for over 20 years of my life and beat yourself up. You're worth it. You deserve it. Each and every one of you guys can do it. And I'm proud of each and every one of you guys. I appreciate everyone that has been on tonight. Anyone that's popped on to view, anyone that's going to pop on later and do a rewind and listen to me babble on for 15 or 20 minutes, however long I've been live. But I appreciate you guys being here. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'm sure I'll be on again sometime this weekend. I'm just going to relax and take it easy and kick back. I hope you guys do the same. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll catch you later.